This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Snooch to the Rebooch.
Dark fates and dank beats.
Wrestling witches.
All that and more.
Cody, body slam Mike Tyson. I say goddamn. Just goddamn.
That tasted so good.
Did it?
For vengeance.
Let's take a nice long sip of victory drink. You ready?
Tastes so good.
Welcome to episode 83 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm old Kami.
And that's Mike Tyson.
Parts of him, at least.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
He needs all the help he can get.
Mike's carrying Mike out to get some help. Because I dropped the mic.
They were like a candy, Mike, and instead of Mike and Ike's, it's just Mike and Mike. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mike squared. Get the fuck out.
Such a sweet idea.
Yeah. That sweet tooth.
But he was in Twisted Metal.
Oh my god.
Sweet Tooth.
No. Yeah, make Mike Tyson Sweet Tooth and Twisted Metal. Just have his head on the ice cream truck.
Big ass gabs.
I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Real hard.
Ouch.
Ouch. Oath. Stop.
I'm gonna bite your ear off.
Oh. Then I scream when he bites my ear off.
Yeah, you scream.
God damn. Okay. We've got a bunch of different shit to talk about today. We've been on a roll for a few episodes, just sticking to one or two subjects per each thing we talk about. But today, it's going to be a lot of different things. Some
smorgasbord.
Yeah, pretty much. Some San Diego Comic-Con stuff, wrestling, reboots, and some TV. So, I guess let's jump into...
Not some TV, a TV. Just talking
TV.
about a specific TV.
Well, I mean some, but we'll get into...
No, we're talking about a digital screen box here. Like, here's the TV. We talked about it. There you go.
Well,
it is off.
we should have microphoned it.
Just click the button.
Oh, that's all it said when I interview a TV. It just...
Made by Sony.
Let's jump into it. The Witcher television series, which was announced like a year and a half. I remember it being announced like probably a year and a half ago.
Something like that.
Henry Cavill, which obviously has been more recently known for playing Superman in the DCEU, playing Geralt. So this, I had only ever heard of the video game. I didn't realize it for a while. I didn't realize that it was actually like a book series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the television series is going to be more adapted from the books rather than the games.
Well, I mean, it'll make more sense. You have more content built from there, I guess.
They had just dropped a trailer for it, and it looked really good. Like, because I'll be honest, at first I was like, do I really want this? It was kind of one of those, do we really want this? And because it looks like it's trying to like pick up where Game of Thrones left off, not necessarily story wise, but kind of filling that void of
the roller coaster hype.
Yeah,
that's because a lot of the content it's the next Game of Thrones, like the big hit, basically. So,
well, I'm looking forward to like the monster hunting aspect of it because I've played some of the games. And I enjoyed what I played. But this is going to be a little different. I don't know. Very rarely do we get something that was adapted from a video game or, a piece of that media that is any good compared to the source material.
I mean, so far, Detective Pikachu has been the best out of that category with, like, coming from a video game onto the screen. But hopefully the hype will continue and the steamrolling effect of this will happen with this one. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it other than I liked what I saw in the trailer, and we just basically have to wait until later this year to really be the judge of it, I guess. So
I think I'm the only one of the two that hasn't played any of the games. Like, I know it's a great series, especially the third one. I've never touched the games yet. Like, I've been so far up in every other game's ass at this point. Just never thought about getting The Witcher, which I had plenty of times to get it. I had other games in mind to get at a time. So,
all up in that ass.
Yeah.
Just I'm gonna be up this game's ass. The ass box.
Like here recently, I got Red Dead Redemption 2 in place of getting The Witcher 3 and a whole bunch of other games on top of that. Pokemon, Let's Go, Smash Brothers. I mean, there's so many other games that get my attention that I never really put much stock into another fantasy, open world, medieval type game per se. Because I played so many of them in the day, like the old Dragon Age and Skyrim and all them.
Yeah, I was gonna say Skyrim kind of has that void filled for me. Like the little bit that I've played of different, like the Elder Scrolls stuff, it's I don't know, man. I that's where that goes for me. And then even something like Shadow of the Colossus, like the remake that happened, I realize it's kind of different than this, but as far as that look or feel of a game, that's kind of been what's filling that hole in my life, where it's like I need something like this. Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just recently replayed Spider-Man. So
after a long drought of just emotions that he felt when his system crashed, with all of his save data, when he almost, I think you either almost or you got everything.
No, I had 22 items. I had 22 things left to do before I had 100% on there, and that was some of the research tokens from Harry's stations and some of the Taskmaster shit. Other than that, I did everything. I found all the hidden photog areas and backpacks, and then my old PlayStation 4 decided to take a big old shit, and I lost everything. And I had somebody like, well, you didn't put it up in the cloud, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, the area that I live in, I have really shit internet.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular company does not allow for certain things to be downloaded or stored on the PlayStation. Like I can barely even access downloading files. It has to go under the radar. Otherwise they'll be like, nope, there's a firewall. Fuck you.
Yep.
But I digress. That's The Witcher, and we'll check it out when it happens.
Definitely.
Crossing that bitch off the list. To get to something that I'm really fucking excited about, and I think a lot of other people are too, and that is Terminator Dark Fate. Now, I know what you're thinking. How many fucking times are we gonna go back to the Terminator franchise?
The answer is as many fucking times as we want.
Yeah. That's something I'll never get tired of seeing, and I'm probably one of the very few people that could not stand Terminator Salvation, and that was the one with Christian Bale. I fucking hated it. I hated that one. I didn't mind Genesis. I liked Rise of the Machines, but there's nothing that will ever top the first two. Maybe until now.
We hope.
I mean, you got Tim Miller, fresh out of Deadpool. As much as we shit talk the guy, James Cameron came back to be an executive producer on this, which he needed to, because that motherfucker, like, for all intents and purposes, did some of his better work back in the fucking 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Before he got, high and mighty with Avatar, which, announcement if you haven't heard, Avengers Endgame took that shit over, so fucking finally.
About damn time.
Yeah, by like 2 million or something like that. But still, pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give hats off to the fucker for holding it for 10 years. That's the only kind of anything I'll give the son of a bitch. But coming back to this franchise, the screenplay is being written partially by David Goyer, who helped write on the Dark Knight trilogy. You've got Schwarzenegger, obviously. Can't do one without him, as evidenced by Salvation. It was pretty horrible. Linda Hamilton is back as Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor.
Yes.
Wait, no, she's
wait, no. We got to do this right.
She's not so young sounding in
We got to do this right.
Sarah Connor.
Yes.
Roll credits.
I swear to God, if that was Terminator...
That's pretty much the whole entire thing. Dark Fates. She blows up. That's it.
Well, dude, the trailer dropped, and it looks so good. Just the music, the atmosphere, the technology nowadays has a lot over... I mean, granted, the first two still hold up in terms of technology, I think, but this one just looks a lot better. They're going for the hard R rating because even Schwarzenegger was pissed off about the other ones. He was like, they tried to water it down, and it sucked. Mm-hmm. And I hated it.
It sucked.
Yeah. And they even announced that Edward Furlong would be back to play John Connor. Now, here's the thing that I am really weary about. Are we getting actual Eddie Furlong to come back and do this? Because this movie's been filmed. And I think they may have like a few pickup shots here and there, but are we going to get physical Eddie Furlong, or are we just going to get his facial likeness to get mapped over another body?
CG'd.
I fucking hope not. I really, really hope not.
You know what I expect to see in this? Some poor soul try and do a drop kick like they did on that Snapchat that Arnold had posted at while back.
Dude, oh shit.
I want to see somebody literally try and drop kick him on screen and him turn around and just be like, you dumb bitch.
Fuck you. Fuck you, asshole.
It has been tried before.
Fuck you, asshole. No, like, but the villains that they have in this movie, we're getting Gabriel Luna, who a lot of you may know as the new Ghost Rider from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. franchise. Mm-hmm. Robbie Reyes, or Reyes. I feel stupid now because I should know that. But anyway, he is playing Rev 9, and it's this really advanced Terminator that has like that endoskeleton with the skin, basically like a traditional or whatever, but the fucker can actually separate both of the components that make him up to be two completely different Terminators.
Oh, wow.
So that's a thing.
Definitely technology has advanced.
And Mackenzie Davis is playing a character named Grace, and she is a human-machine hybrid. And she's sent to the future, she's sent from the future to protect the character of Danny, played by Natalia Reyes. And she's the one that's being targeted for termination.
Not John.
So I just kind of want to see how they decide to put Schwarzenegger's T-800 into this script, which they did it pretty well with Genesis, how they went ahead and played into the fact that he's old. So he had been around for a long time. So his body, the skin on his body aged like normal. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're doing that here because he's got like beard and gray hair and shit in this one.
It's kind of like a Logan of the Terminator age.
That's a pretty good little...
I mean, if you think
analogy.
about it. So, just old, haggard, but still fights. So,
here's the other kicker. And I know this is probably... I say probably. This is not really having anything to do with this movie in particular, but it also does. The fact that the distribution is being Walt Disney for like international purposes... This is further proof that we could have a Deadpool film that's R-rated in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mm-hmm. So maybe this movie does good, and we get that or whatever. But still, I'm excited about it. It comes out in November, and it looks more promising than the last two sequels have been. So count me the fuck in.
I mean, we can just only hope at this point. So,
I mean, if Linda Hamilton came back. I hate being that guy, but I mean, if Linda Hamilton came back after like being noticeably fucking absent for the last few of them, that says a bunch. Mm-hmm. Especially when she used to be married to James Cameron.
No, she's probably just gonna give him a big old fuck you on screen.
Fuck you, pay me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do.
I'm not coming back until you give me more than last time.
Better be a lot. This movie's got like a $200 million budget.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of reboots.
If you haven't heard by now.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about something that is very, very obviously a reboot and even says so in the title. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Now, Kevin Smith has gone on record saying this is pretty much a very self-aware sequel into the View Askew universe, and that, something like these characters can pull that off because it's a play on the fact that Hollywood is taken over by reboots and remakes and all the other shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, seeing Jay and Silent Bob basically in their late 40s is fucking hilarious in my eyes. And it all takes place years after the fact, and they've lost the fucking legal rights to their names over the fucking Blunt Man and Chronic reboot. So they had to fly back to Hollywood to stop the fucking reboot from getting made. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer dropped, and it is basically chock full of everybody you can think of that has ever been in one of these movies. And then kind of, him pulling his Hollywood, I say Hollywood favors. He's got like people that are coming in, and he's like, holy shit. Didn't expect to get this person. Didn't expect to get that person. Because I know we talked about it, like one of the very early episodes of our podcast, Monstrous Mythical Mall Mirrors. That was around the time when he was going to be doing that Mallrats thing. That didn't work out.
Well, I mean, he's been talking about doing a lot of stuff for the last couple years.
Yeah, but
we don't know exactly what he's going to contribute into more than the other, or what's actually going to be released. So,
well, a lot of that had to do with, I think the Mallrats one had a lot to do with Universal owning the rights to it.
mm-hmm.
Clerks 3 fell through, I think, because one of the lead actors just didn't want to do it after this point. I can't remember if he had another sequel to one of his other movies, but he had talked about doing, different things like this. But the fact that he's able to do this now, and he can still pull characters from those movies in, because he's got, God, dude, he's got like Shannon Elizabeth, Brian O'Halloran, like the guy that plays Dante.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Jason Lee. Obviously, he's played Brody Bruce from Mallrats. He's got his wife back. He's got Craig Robinson, fucking Justin Long playing Jay and Silent Bob's lawyer in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Jason Biggs and James Vanderbeek as themselves. Obviously, they were Jay and Silent Bob in the Hollywood version of him in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Diedrich Bader, fucking Ben Affleck is back as Holden McNeil, which that was a big fucking deal because they kind of had like a public falling out, and they actually I guess they say bury the hatchet, but they just hadn't talked in a long time, and it's one of those industries where you just lose touch with people and you just grow apart and shit.
Right.
But I saw a post that he made on Instagram, and he was really emotional about it, and I was like, oh my god, that's fucking cool, Now, here's the fucking part that I laughed at the most in the trailer. Fucking Val Kilmer playing Blunt Man. So, holy Batman.
Holy Blunt Man, Batman.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be funny. I will watch anything that these characters are in, and I'll watch damn near everything that Kevin Smith has anything to do with.
I mean, it's nice to know pretty much like the late 80s, early 90s is coming back, because not only do we have these guys coming back, but Bill and Ted is coming back as well. So that's two iconic duos from that comedy era coming back to make another film or a rendition of said film or whatever. And it's, like I said, it's such a great nostalgia warmth to the nerd heart, because that's what we grew up on, was that kind of comedy.
Yeah, and I'm I totally forgot to even mention that when we were putting this episode together, but I think maybe we'll talk about it more in depth, once there's more detail to it. But I'm fucking extremely excited for Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Mm-hmm.
Just the little pictures that were kind of released on the internet of them on set. They look almost exactly the same. I mean, obviously aged a little bit, but it's nice to see that it's, physically happening, because they talked about it for so long. And I think another thing we could talk about later on down the road too is they've been working on a direct follow-up to the original Paul Verhoeven RoboCop. Because they're talking about using the original suit from the film, one of the original script ideas, I think, that came along in the late 80s for that movie. And possibly trying to get Peter Weller just to do like digital, do voiceover and digitalize his face to put on a body. Because that would be acceptable. I don't have to have him physically in the suit, but put his face on there and give us his voice. It's so iconic, you know?
I mean, we can't ask for a better time to be alive, basically.
Yeah. Like if you grew up in the 80s, like late 70s, early 80s, into the 90s, and you're hungry for this shit that you grew up on, it's all happening again, people.
You thought that decade was dead. It's not.
It is not.
Not even close.
Before we move on, we have some business to take care of, sir.
Do we now?
Yeah, it's that time of the episode where we talk about Podcoin.
I thought I said it's the time of the month. I was like, uh-oh.
No, it's that time of the week.
Uh-huh.
It's Friday. You're sitting there. You're listening to us. And we have a question for you.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Do you want to get paid for this?
You want to get paid for not doing shit?
Yeah, just sit around, listen to us, and get paid. But how, you ask?
There's a specific way. It's coming to me. Shout it out. Okay, here it is. Podcoin.
Hey, what?
Podcoin.
Oh!
You get paid Podcoins to listen
They're just
to
dropping.
podcasts.
They're just dropping.
Yeah.
Out of the fucking sky. Here comes another one. There it goes.
And you can buy so much crap with this. You can do gift cards from your favorite retailers like Starbucks, Amazon, blah, 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 blah. Or donate it to charity of your choice because that's a good person you are. We know you are.
Yeah.
Either way, you get paid to listen to podcasts instead of you paying to listen to podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They will pay you. And here's the best part. It's all free. All of it is free. You can download it in the App Store on your Apple device, or you can get on the Google Play Store on your Android device.
But even more free shit. You type in Superpod when you sign up, you get 300 on us.
Holy shit. Lots of fucking Podcoin.
All from the sky into your lap digitally.
Just falls down and just breaks your legs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heavy Podcoin.
It's like you look up, you see Sonic fall into the ground. I was like, oh, that's where they came from.
Ow! That hit me in the face.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
But yeah, do the thing. Go to Podcoin. You can scroll up in the show notes below and check that out. Or at the same time, check these people out. We've got a couple of podcasts we're going to run some ads for this week, everybody. One of them is actually on the network we are on, and he's a fellow Louisianian. He's all the way up from Shreveport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael G. Moore interviews interesting people around his town in a city like yours.
I'm Michael, the host of the semi-monthly podcast In a City Like Yours. Join me as I chat with interesting people with interesting life stories. You can listen to the podcast on all major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. You can follow us on Twitter at IACLYS Podcast, as well as on Facebook and Instagram at In a City Like Yours Podcast. Please feel free to let me know what you think, and keep coming back for the many interesting stories in a city like yours.
Hell yeah.
Go listen to interesting people.
That's right. Michael's a nice dude too, so definitely give him some listens. Another question: Do any of you guys out there like tech stuff? Are you guys into are you tech nerds out there?
I would assume, being that they're on a listening platform to us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to get like the gaming and the entertainment aspect
To
of it.
us.
But are you also a tech nerd?
Are you?
Yeah.
Well then, don't we have some shit for you?
That's right. We got some buddies over at the Online Warriors podcast, and they're going to tell you what the hell they're up to.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to our friends here at the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Nerd Bomber from the Online Warriors podcast, where we talk about the latest news in gaming, entertainment, and technology, and I think you might like our podcast too. Come check us out at www.onlinewarriorspodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, or any other podcatcher you might use. Now, let's get back to the show.
Do it!
Catch that shit. Catch what she's saying. Oh, he's catching it. Oh, he caught it.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Headphones about fell off, but I tried to catch it.
Well, you can't have that happen. You got to listen to what they caught.
I know.
What you caught?
Just stuff like flying everywhere. I had tried, catch it before.
All the tech. All the gaming. Oh, shit.
Fuck, that hurt. That really hurt.
That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, it's gonna leave a mark. You know what else is gonna leave a mark when it happens?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mark. Wrestling fans, unite. There is a revolution, and it is called All Elite Wrestling. Now, we talked about this before when the company announced its inception in January. Well, they've had a couple of pay-per-views. They've had Fight for the Fallen and Fyter Fest, which was fucking hilarious because it was definitely a play on the Fire Festival fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very funny. But it was also very entertaining. They have a lot of really great wrestlers on their roster, including people like Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, like you name it, and they've got a lot of up-and-coming stars too. One of my favorites being Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Those two are fucking great. But aside from that, they finally have a television deal. All Elite Wrestling is actually going to be coming to TNT in October on the 2nd, and they are going to start doing weekly programming, which a lot of people in the beginning thought this was going to be like another Monday Night Wars scenario where it was like WWE versus WCW.
Uh-huh.
No, it's an alternative. It's not necessarily direct competition, but I will say this: they are giving them a run for their money in terms of the pacing of the action in the ring, because I just watched Fight for the Fallen. I watched Double or Nothing back in May. I'm sorry, they had 3 pay-per-views, not 2. I just watched Double or Nothing back in May. Fucking great pay-per-view. Then I watched Fyter Fest, and then Fight for the Fallen had just happened. And that was a really cool concept. They took proceeds and donated it to the victims from one of the shootings in Jacksonville. And they raised several thousands of dollars for it, so that was really cool. They've got an event in Chicago coming up called All Out. And I would assume that this is basically, I won't say like the WrestleMania of their pay-per-views, but it's supposed to be like the biggest of theirs so far because it's in Chicago. Chicago is a humongous wrestling city. So I guess we'll see what's happening there because they are crowning an inaugural champion. And then the television show is going to feature their tournament for a new tag team champion. Like that's kind of the basis for most of the programming on that. Like there's gonna be like singles matches, and obviously like they're developing stories more. But their tag team division is so fucking stacked, and that's what's been missing for me on WWF's or WWE's TV shit. There's just no roster depth with their tag division, and there's a lot of them in this company. But I generally enjoy this organization just because I feel like there was a dip where like it was cool to be a wrestling fan at one point. Like you were there, we were both there. We grew up in it, like 97, like 2002. And then there was just kind of like this just I don't know, it just kind of fell off where like I still watch some of the products, but it just as far as mainstream appeal, it just didn't feel cool to be a fan.
Yeah, it was like this hokey, or it was definitely the moralization of the fake aspect of wrestling, which we all know it's fake. We get it. Like a lot of it has to do with just like how they prop themselves, how they land, they're communicating with each other, stuff like that. But it got to the point where if you literally were a wrestling fan, you kind of got like castrated in a way mentally for you watch that fake shit, basically.
Yeah, and me personally, I don't necessarily care to use the word fake only because I say scripted. I say scripted and predetermined just because those guys put, and of course, we both know it, but like the terminology fake is, it's tossed around most commonly, by, detractors pretty much. So like we get it. But some of that shit you just can't. They're, those guys are like slamming themselves. Like, I've been in a ring before. That shit does not feel good. Like it fucking stings. Like you just have to kind of have a mentality for it. You got to have a drive for it. And I think one of the cooler parts about this company is, in terms of that, is we've seen this a lot. Like when wrestling started becoming on the up and up again, WWE runs like 300 something shows a year, dude. And that's like not even televised shows. They do house shows and tours and shit. AEW is talking about having a lighter schedule on their employees. They're I think they're the only company right now that even offers medical and dental for their guys, because WWE is considered like to be independent contractor, so they don't pay for their guys shit.
Yeah,
so
they get enough payment to actually do stuff on their own, I would assume.
Depending, like some of
who it is.
Yeah, and even then, that's the thing too, is like the guys on this roster are being paid their worth. What I enjoy seeing is that AEW is only really planning on doing about 100 to 120 live shows a year. And that is a huge cut because it's going to keep their roster healthier. It's going to keep their guys from being injured less.
It's going to make it less stale, too, because like if you're constantly used to seeing a show like once a day or once a week kind of feel, it's not going to feel as...
It doesn't feel as special, dude.
No, it just feels like another show, basically. It's like, okay, we see the same shit every time. Now they're actually going to have some time to kind of give a gap in between creating a new approach to certain wrestlers' stories, or what they're going to do with this title match or whatever for their main events and stuff like that. So that gives them more of a spacing in between to be more creative.
Yeah, and they're very it's very much for the wrestler, by the wrestler product for the fans. They don't rely on scripted promos like the WWE does with their guys, and it waters the fuck out of them, man. It waters them down so hard. There's only like a handful of guys on their roster I keep up with, but I genuinely enjoy everybody on this roster at AEW. They get a chance to be themselves. They get a chance to delve into their character creation more, and I think it's going to make for a great product for casual viewers and new fans and people that have been around for a long time. AEW is a little more... I won't say adult oriented, but it definitely is targeting like late teens, young adults. There's a little more of an edge to their product, and I think that's another thing that's been missing too. Wrestling it's hard to fucking keep up in a PG environment.
But the main thing with my end of it, I lost track about early 2000s, mainly because, like you said, it got watered down. It got too like soap opera in a way.
Yeah, which there's nothing wrong with, but I agree.
But whenever I watched it, it was back when it was like, The Rock was still just getting into everything. Stone Cold was a big name. Kane, Undertaker, all the heavy names that we've known since like the 80s that were still around. And they weren't so driven about doing this big, elaborate, like just an episode per se, like their own special skit. Like for them, it was more of like they were just going straight in for like, okay, I'm busting your balls. Let's do this shit right now.
Yeah, and that was still at a time when they were allowed creative freedom for their characters. Like like now, like you said, in about mid 2000s, it just started getting.
And that's where I dropped off because I just the spark was gone.
Yeah, and CM Punk was one of the last people to be around, from because he started with that company, I think like 2005 or 6, maybe 2007. But he was around until about 2013, 2014 maybe. And when he left the company, I quit watching because he and a few other people were the only reason I stayed like constantly, weekly watching. Now I casually keep up with it when I can. When AEW hits in October, I am getting cable just so I can fucking have TNT to watch these guys. That's how much I love this program.
Either that or we're going to have a party at my house.
Yeah. God damn it. Wednesday nights, and before we get off that, because I've realized we're spending a lot of time on it, but the rumored programming name for this is Wednesday Night Dynamite, which it has that old school TNT kind of feel to it. You know what I mean?
On TNT.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So That's
such an explosive idea.
Wait, what's that?
Wednesday night dynamite.
Blowing up your fucking televisions every
Wednesday night.
Yeah. It's going to be a 2-hour program. Be sure to check it out when it premieres in October.
On TNT.
Drama.
We're not sponsored by TNT, but
No,
shit.
we're not. But we should be after that.
Or A&E, mostly. Make us your official podcast.
Please. Okay. But that was
We waited long enough for that.
Yeah, that was our opportunity.
Yeah.
We just wasted
They
it.
just put a pin in it right there.
Shit. Let's get on with some music, sir.
Now, you know us. We have to mention our boys at Monstercat
Always.
because they're just fantastic with the roster of people that they bring aboard and the music that they generate.
Yeah.
I have to say, I haven't been keeping up as hardcore as I used to be here in the last couple of weeks, but what we have heard per se, has been pretty phenomenal shit. They did their 8-year anniversary with, the last couple of releases here in the last 2 weeks, I think it was. There was a mixture of both labels involved, which was really awesome. And then the normal releases that are coming out on both labels as well. Coming out Monday is going to be the Uncaged Volume 7, which I was thoroughly surprised how fast, because I literally just felt like Volume 6 just came out. And now we already have Volume 7. I was like, holy shit, okay, well, I got to keep up with this more. But, I mean, there's been a handful of tracks on here that I just cannot overlook anymore because they're just that hard-hitting, that impactful. One track that I keep telling him to listen to whenever I finally got him to sit down and listen to it. He was pretty surprised about it too. Was Stronger by the Fat Rat, Slated, and Anjali. And I didn't really know Fat Rat as much beforehand, but I was thoroughly intrigued by him after the fact because of just the sound that he produces on Stronger. Like, it's just this dirty, hard-hitting bass, like electronic, electro dubstep kind of sound. And it's so phenomenal. Like, the vocals are really good. They're a nice little mix into it. But then the build-up is just like that heavy hardcore, like dome, dome, dome. It definitely gets you bobbing up and down with energy. So definitely one of my favorite tracks so far. And then after that was the 8-year, I believe. Yeah, because none of the other ones really cared for as much. I know a big fan of ours, big one of ours that we're a fan of is the Moshi collab with Pegboard and
Moshi?
Moshi
Moshi. Either way.
and Tokyo Machine.
Yeah, Pegboard Nerds Tokyo. That was a fucking collaboration that we just didn't expect.
I mean, we've dreamed of it for a long time, but finally getting it together is like, it's a perfection. It's that great because you already have the building up of the video game aspect with Pegboard after all these years since pretty much day one of Monstercat, and the now anime gaming aspect of Tokyo Machine combined to make this like really awesome track. And it's so bouncy and, hardcore at the same time. And it's musical. It's like musical orgasm to the ears. Like, it's fantastic. And then another one that we were surprised they came out with another one on here was Infected Mushrooms Kebabis.
Yes.
Which, again, we're fans of Psytrance. We don't care. Every song that they release is pretty much like an instant good for us, no matter what.
They win always.
Yeah, I mean, this one kind of brought me back to like Spitfire a little bit, just the way it sounded, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Other than those, they had the Keepsake, Laszlo, and World Song Back to You, which is a good little collab. I hadn't heard World in a good while, so that was pretty nice.
Yeah, that was a good, like, hey, I remember you. I never forgot you, but it's nice to see you again.
And then Keepsake, his second song, which is basically Richard Caddock's actual alter ego, playing into this. And it's the second song in the label, which his first song was really good. This one was actually a nice touch with his vocals in there too. So I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Dude, I liked that It Fixed on Going Quantum track too.
Let's roll.
Great fucking track.
But it seems like Going Quantum comes out like every couple years when there's like a big release.
Yeah.
He's not so he's mostly behind the workings of Monstercat, not so much making the music per se. But when he does make music, it's actually really good. I think the last song I heard by him was Psychic Rare with Psychic Type, and that was 029. That was a long time ago.
There was a release and it was on Instinct, which I remember telling you about and you being a little skeptical of it first, but I was like, no, just trust me. It's going to be pretty fucking good. And that was Grabbits and Sullivan Kings, Crazy As You.
I wasn't a big fan of Grabbits after his, like, My Cloud, or what was that song? Or Say I Told You So. Like, those two songs were so off kilter for me with him. So I just kind of, like, shoved them aside. But then he came out with Sully, and I was just like, okay, I'll listen to it just for Sully. But it was a great work, combined effort with both of them. So I give him props for that one.
Yeah, because, I mean, they did a collab on Sullivan King's last EP. That little, it was like that little 4-song EP we spoke about, I think, like a few episodes back.
Demented.
Yeah, that's it. Because that was a really good collab, too. So Polar opposites, though.
Oh, yeah. Like, Grabbits is more of that kind of experimental hip-hop-ish to his name. And then Sully, obviously, you know, is the metal. He's just screaming guitar, drums. If you haven't figured it out from Banta Black.
Yeah. Which, we will say this till the day we fucking die. Go check that album out.
I mean, Dirty Phonics alone was great, but Sully just brought everything else, like, hardcore. It was so great. Another collab that I really thoroughly enjoy, which I'm surprised with one of the artists that I don't really listen to that much, Justin O and Rogue.
I like Justin O.
He's very hit or miss to me. There's only been, like, I think 1 or 2 tracks by him that I actually did enjoy that I can listen to at times, but nothing that made me go, well, he's something I'll keep on the radar. Like, he just comes on, I'll just kind of drown him out with something else.
Yeah.
But Rogue has been nothing but superb since his switch over from his old Kitchen Step sound to his Instinct sound. And you can kind of get a little bit of the vibe of his old stuff in here too with it, but it's not much, but it's a lot of the newer stuff that he does. But the way that Justin brings in his style and the drops, it's like it fits. It suits it, especially with how Rogue's style is production-wise.
You said Kitchen Step a while ago, and I immediately thought of dish soap and Dove dish soap and Dove Step.
Dove Step.
Yeah,
Making it slippy.
exactly. Man, there was a couple of other tracks too, just in general, not necessarily for the anniversary release, but I really enjoyed Till Dawn from Shock 1. I really liked that one a lot. And also Monster by Julian Kellor.
Which one was it?
Monster.
No, not the Monster one. The
Till Dawn?
The Till Dawn. Till Dawn surprised me too. Like, Shock 1's first hit was not bad, but wasn't good to me. I just kind of overlooked it. This one was a really good D&B song, which there hasn't been many of them in the last, like, couple months that caught my attention like this one. It immediately brought me back to Muzzy's old style with F Minor Factory. And if you want another album to check out, that's another good one too, because Muzzy's D&B is just God tier. You can't go wrong with any of his stuff. And it had a good nod to that. Had a good nod to I think it was not Faint. It was I can't think of his name. Protostar. Couldn't think for a second. A lot of it from, what was that EP he did with it wasn't Titan. It was
Who?
Sequence.
Yeah, Protostar.
Protostar Sequence.
Yeah.
That it brought me to that and to Prometheus a lot by Ramses B, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it had a lot of those vibes to it. So a lot of good songs to kind of like take, note from to make a really good D&B song, and bringing their actual song style with it made it even better. And the Julian Kellor song was pretty good. I like Trove's vocals mostly about this song. So definitely another noteworthy.
And then Just a Gent with Time Voyage.
This is probably one of my favorite songs of the year.
It has that kind of future house breakbeat kind of thing going on, and it's really, really a interesting dynamic, actually.
It's like a feel of Haywire's like keyboard jazz with that breakbeat sound mixed in. It's actually pretty unique, and it stands out enough to be noticeable. Didn't really expect something that stylized and unique from the releases so far. I mean, minus a few, but nothing that topped it, like this one did. Another good track, which, I mean, I'm a fan of him no matter what, so just fuck off. Conroe.
I'm a fan. Fuck off.
Thrill It.
Yeah, Thrill of It's really great.
Just, it may all sound the same, and I understand that, and I really don't care. It's like he has just great vocals. He's a good producer. It's that very, house, disco, indie dance, pop feel to it. And it's just so lighthearted. Like, how can you not like it? It's just, you're wrong to not like it, to be honest with you.
Dreamer.
Oh,
From Throttle.
So Throttle's been MIA for like 6 years. And he comes out of the woodworks, like literally pretty much like him fucking, MIA for BFE for whatever with Dreamer, and it's actually really good. I'm definitely digging this one. The artwork kind of reminded me of like the old school like 80s like Gundam and stuff like that, where they have like the certain stylizations with the animation, the eyes, and the body work and stuff like that. And then also obviously had like the mech suit he was standing on with the little character.
Yeah, he's like got his arms folded. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you up. Look at my mech suit, man.
But yeah, it was an interesting little nod to like the old 80s anime style, which was pretty cool.
And it's hard to believe that it had been so long since fucking Boombox, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you said that, I was like, wow, it really has been a while.
A lot of these artists have been gone for a long time. Like, Stephen Walken's been kind of just, I'll just show up like every year or two. Going Quantum just pops in every now and then. A while back, Bracken came back and he hadn't been noticeable in a long time too. So, I mean, there's a lot of nostalgia artists are coming back from like under the rocks to make music again. Like they're inspired again, or they finally have the time to do stuff like they used to do. Either way, I mean, it's a great little treat to hear, old school days coming back.
What a time to be alive.
And also another good track that just came out was Abstract and Bellacore with Lasagna.
Lasagna.
And I know it's a weird track name, but it's a banger. And it's pretty interesting artwork because they have the cassette tapes in the style of like layers of lasagna. So I was like, you know what? This suits me. I'm weird. I like stupid shit. And this is awesome.
Love it. I like stupid shit.
I mean,
that's us. Like,
it's just true, though. I mean, you see a lot of the memes that I'll laugh at. I'm like, yeah, this is funny to me. And y'all are like, how?
I don't know if I don't know if you got to look at it here, but the Uncaged Volume 7 artwork is fucking amazing looking.
I've been seeing the style that they use for like the tours and stuff, like the melting cat face, the skull, but I hadn't seen the new one yet.
It basically has like that skull look, but it looks like the coloration of the skull is a shot of this of like a cloudy wooded area with tree growth coming out of it and like cracks in it, and it's fucking brilliant looking.
I'm gonna have to check that out later.
Do it. Yeah, I'm excited about all that stuff, especially getting like the compilation mixes coming out, because we just did a review on the Instinct Volume 3 album, which was really good. But Uncaged Volume 7 looks like one of their better, like, not that they're not good, but it looks like one of their better compilations as far as the songs and stuff.
I want to say it was like Volume 5 or 6 was one of my favorites out of the group for the Uncaged side, because there's only a handful of them that had like a solid large list of artists that I deeply appreciated in the art and the album versus a lot of the old ones. But yeah, I have to revisit the album and see like how well these stack up to the old albums. So
yeah, because I mean that's a lot of like 2 hour, like over 2 hour mixes of music. So that's all I have for Monstercat for right now. Until more comes out, which there's going to be a lot more.
More cat.
Monstercat.
Moisture.
Moisture cat.
Just makes you moist when you listen to him.
Poor kitty cats getting splashed in buckets of water and
Getting bathed.
yeah, my cat hates it. He gets pissed off at me.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna move on from that to Marvel now. Okay, San Diego Comic-Con had a lot of announcements over the 3 or 4 days when it took place. You know, movies and TV series, things like that. Things like Supernatural coming to an end.
You would think it would have came to an end way before now.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, things like that. You know, a lot of shit like you get every year. Like you have like a panel where there's like Family Guy and American Dad have like a panel, or we just mentioned Supernatural has a panel. But I dare say that every fucking bit of that was eclipsed, because if you Google San Diego Comic-Con 2019, the only thing you'll find is Marvel. Now, Kevin Feige at Hall H this year the entire team just blew everybody's minds, because they came loaded. And not only did they come loaded, they flat out at the ass end of it were like, we didn't even say everything. They're probably saving it all for the D23 Expo this year.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did find out was we're getting a slew of shit for Phase 4 within the next 3 years. The first of which is Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's about time. That's all I've got to say. It's about time for this character to get her own film.
I mean, she's been one of fan favorites for a long time, so.
And it's weird, dude, because the movie is actually set after Civil War and before Infinity War. So we're going to get the character, you know, so people that were wondering, is this like, oh, did she actually fucking die in Endgame? Yeah, she's dead.
Yeah, she's gone.
But listen to this, dude. David Harbour's going to be in this one.
Did it say what he's going to be?
The Red Guardian.
Ah.
He will be the Red Guardian. We're getting the Taskmaster as the villain in this movie, dude.
I haven't seen much of him in hardly anything, especially, you know, with the Spider-Man game that came out.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. It's cool because we need some of these other characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need some of these other characters to get featured.
Mm-hmm.
And that character is a hell of a fucking villain. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just his character alone is just, he studies like every tactic that everybody does, and he knows how to, you know, counter them. So, I mean, he'd be the perfect person to fight against with Black Widow, because she's all about being tactical, being, you know, just knowing how to get out of a sticky situation. He can do the same thing, but probably usurp you in one move. So it's pretty much like a physical chess game.
true. They haven't actually said who's playing Taskmaster, though. So we just don't know.
You just have to wait it out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's filming. It's been filming. Even before they announced it, that they had pictures up online for it, and it's supposed to come out in May of next year.
Man, that's pretty quick.
That's what I'm saying. The turnaround on this movie has been fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. There is the Eternals. Now, a lot of people were sitting there like, well, what in the fuck are the Eternals? Now, this is kind of how I see it. Marvel took a huge gamble with the Guardians of the Galaxy film. Everybody knows that when that got announced, people are like,
Who the fuck are they?
yeah, it was basically like the audience was the guy that Star-Lord introduced himself to in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Who?
Like, come on, man. You know, that's how it feels. No, but the Eternals are basically the defenders of Earth, but they're celestials. Like they stay in outer space, and they have a set of enemies called the Deviants, and basically it's their counterparts. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do this as far as putting it on screen, because this is abso-fucking-lutely part of that cosmic aspect, which I'm loving what we're getting out of it so far. And they have a huge fucking stack of actors and actresses. Angelina Jolie is going to be playing Thena. Richard Madden is playing Icarus. They have fucking Lauren Ridloff is playing Makin. Brian Tyree Henry is playing Fastos. Selma Hayek is playing Ajak. There's a lot of people that this is going to be like a really great movie. I have no doubt about it, dude. Marvel has yet to truly, honestly disappoint me. Like, they have had some movies that may not have been up to par. Oh, shoot. Up to par? Fuck, like this microphone.
Up the bar.
Up the bar. But I think those may have been like a little earlier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they've seemingly been on fire for like the last couple of years.
I mean, if you really look at it, like, the first 2 Thors were pretty shit.
Yeah, in retrospect, those are just not good.
And then, like, Iron Man 3 was, Second one was not so great either.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that washing period of like, this may work, this may not work. But now they finally found their niche, and it's like been going nothing but up from here. So
yeah, and it seems like Captain America was the one out of the because when you say like the 4 main Avengers, people think Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Cap. Captain America, I think, was the only one that had solo movies where all 3 of them were fucking good. Mm-hmm. And that sucks because like these other characters I think deserved a lot better. But I think Marvel has learned from that, and moving forward, we're getting other characters and other ethnicities tapped into. We're getting female directors. We're getting like female character-led films. I mean, for fuck's sake, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I fucking cannot wait for that shit, dude. Like, Shang-Chi is the most badass kung fu person in the Marvel universe. And when they announced it as the Legend of the Ten Rings, the first thing I thought about was, oh my God, they're going to fucking rectify that atrocity in Iron Man 3. Mm-hmm. Because Ben Kingsley, by all accounts, would have made a great, grounded in reality version of the Mandarin, where he is a terrorist and his organization are known as the Ten Rings.
Right.
Not mystical rings, because they were still trying to kind of keep it grounded a bit. This just blows the fucking door wide open. Yeah. I don't know, dude. I can't wait for it. Like, the lineup of movies doesn't seem like on paper to a casual, watcher's like, what? Because Thor, Love and Thunder was the last thing I expected there to be like a title for. So a female Thor, which Natalie Portman, after being like, I'm not going to play in any of these movies anymore. She's back as Jane Foster. Obviously, Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth are back as Valkyrie and Thor. That fucking movie title, like the artwork for it looks just so like 80s metal. The coloring and just, I felt like I bought an album. I felt like I went into a store.
Bought like an 80s hair metal band.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, that's Thor. Taika Waititi is back to direct it, which is amazing in its own right. But it also is kind of a damper because that means the Akira movie gets pushed back because of this. But, we're getting more Thor, so fuck it.
Also, let's not forget, they announced Blade.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to tell you right now, that is something I was extremely excited for. It's about time, because I was really afraid they may have made it into a TV series. I really wanted them to try to fit this character in the MCU somehow.
Yeah, I was kind of glad that they didn't do like a Netflix series or, not Netflix, but like a Hulu or something, or Disney Plus. So, I mean, he's not really a character that you can just stick on Disney and be like, hey, here you go, here's a Blade series. Yeah,
and it'll be interesting to see how they carry forth with it. Mahershala Ali is a really, really good actor. And he was actually in the Luke Cage TV series.
He was Cottonmouth.
Yeah.
Which, when I saw that, I was like, he actually could pull it off, because he's pretty tough as a individual person when it comes to like how he portrays the character. So he can definitely make the Blade character work as far as that goes. Now, to make him very stoic and, hardcore, that's we'll see, but I'm pretty sure he can pull it off really well.
I think so too. He has a look. He's got, and I mean, I trust the casting. Like the casting in these movies have just been nothing short of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even over the years, even some of the things were like, this isn't too, great of a movie, but the casting was good. I mean, even the fucking Edward Norton Hulk was a decent movie as far as like actor, but I like Mark Ruffalo a hell of a lot more.
One person that thoroughly surprised me as a portrayal was Dave Bautista as Drax.
Oh yeah,
because I didn't expect someone like him to pull off such a humorous character like that.
Dave's a funny guy though, is the thing.
But he makes Drax like 10 times funnier because he's just so oblivious to shit.
Oh man.
So yeah, the casting has been pretty much on point regardless of who the movie is about or how bad the movie or good the movie was.
I'm wondering what they'll do with the Blade character as far as who are they going to put him up against? My idea, if Sony would get their heads out of their asses and do a little more like crossover collab, like how they did with, lending Spider-Man out, which I'll get to in a second. I'm sorry, Thor. There's some thunder happening.
We're done talking about you. Stop.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see Jared Leto's Morbius go head to head with Blade.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would just be money. I mean, it's happened in the comics. It would be a great translation on screen. Give two of them like their own movies, and then put them together in another one.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
The big rumor about this one, though, is it's going to be more horror.
Yeah, they're going to kind of lean into the horror aspect a bit, which, honestly, if the rumors are true about Nightmare being the villain, I can totally see that. Nightmare's kind of like the Freddy Krueger of the Marvel, like, cosmic universe, because he has the ability to pull people out of their astral projections and their astral dreams into his own, like, shit and just fucking torture them, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, I could see that happening. But I like the fact that we're not getting just Benedict Cumberbatch as Strange. We're going to get Wanda in there as the Scarlet Witch, and she's going to be in the movie with him and having a prominent role, which I think she needs.
I mean, she's been doing good so far with what she's given, but now she has enough power as the character to actually get somewhere to get higher up in where she's been, like as a side note, basically.
This movie is important for a number of reasons. The most of which is the fact that it's actually going to be tying in. It's going to be the first time that Marvel has directly tied one of their series into a film, because when WandaVision comes out on Disney Plus, that story is actually going to tie into this movie somehow, or vice versa. So, and I guess we can like fall into like the TV series that got announced. There's going to be WandaVision, obviously, where it follows up with Wanda Maximoff and the Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Loki, obviously, getting his own television series.
Definitely.
Which I think would explain the whole, like, hey, he grabbed the Tesseract in Endgame and hauled ass with it. So that may be where that comes from.
He made a TV series.
That's it. Hawkeye, which that's going to be cool. And from the looks of what we saw at Comic-Con, it will be Jeremy Renner and his daughter becoming like the next Hawkeye, which is fucking amazing. We need more female fucking heroes, dude.
It'd be cool to do Young Avengers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that would be fucking amazing to do something like that. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now, here's the fun part. If any of you guys thought that Zemo got the shit end of the stick in Civil War, we've got news for you. That is going to be the central villain of this fucking series. So, Daniel Brühl is actually going to reprise the role and come back. And, I mean, he's got the mask and, like, everything. So,
nice.
Yeah. Plus, these could also tie into future films as well.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two characters I genuinely fucking enjoy seeing interact with each other.
They seem like a very comedic yet powerful duo, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. So I like Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Those two do a really great job with these characters.
Can you move your seat up? No.
Right. And now, like, because we didn't really plan to talk about it, but like it got brought up a while ago, and I kind of want to mention it. Spider-Man Far From Home just crossed $1 billion at the box office, and is the first Spider-Man film to do it.
But it's definitely a fantastic film for it to do that, though.
Yeah, it is. And the big rumor, and I probably should have like researched into this a little bit, but the big rumor was that the deal with Marvel, and somebody out there, please comment and write to us if it is true or if it's not true, but like treat it as a rumor, obviously. The big rumor is that when Sony and Disney made the deal to have Spider-Man come around, was that, I think for this movie in general, was that if this Spider-Man film crossed $1 billion, that Marvel would retain full creative control of Spider-Man's character for the films. And it did it. Your fucking move, Sony.
I mean, Marvel did its part.
Yeah, and very well. I really loved that movie, and it was one of the good. It was, you know, I think Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is always going to be my comparison pedestal for these because that's such a phenomenal Spider-Man film. Homecoming was just as good. I loved Far From Home. I think it also has that that sequel aspect where, for Spider-Man 2, for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, we had an established Peter Parker. We had basically, you know, him fully developed as a character. But we had a really compelling villain, too. And I think that it was a little bit similar for this one. I thought Gyllenhaal playing Quentin Beck was pretty fucking, like, good. Like, he did a great job playing that character. And very deceptive, very well done, which is not easy to do.
It was one of those scenarios where we knew it was going to happen, but we were still thoroughly shocked, like, that it happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's how well it was portrayed.
Yeah, because there was, I'll admit, there was like a point like in the lead up to the film where I was like, maybe they're because I think we mentioned it on the Avengers Endgame review we did, where I honestly thought they were going to just portray Mysterio as the anti-hero, but just kind of lean into the hero side of it. Damn, they did a really good job on the writing on this thing, though.
Yep.
Yeah, see, we're recording this on the 28th of July. So as of today, it's $1.037 billion at the box office.
There you go, Sony.
Yeah, so when this drops on Friday, which is the day today that you're listening to it, it may be higher.
I'm pretty sure it will.
Oh, I think so too. I would venture to say that there will be a third one. Spoiler alert. Okay, J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson of the Daily Bugle and revealed Spider-Man's true identity via Mysterio, like with some doctored footage. And it's like, oh shit, the dude really is like the second coming of Iron Man now because everybody knows who the fuck he is. Mm-hmm. And the big deal is that he's still a kid. Everybody knows who he is. You got J. Jonah Jameson up there looking like he's a fucking like Marvel Cinematic Universe Alex Jones up there just bitching, and that's pretty much what they went with him.
I mean, if you ever played the Spider-Man game that came out on the PS4, like it was such like a good like mirror image, like in the physical form because you only heard the audio part on the game, and I immediately called it out to Richie whenever I heard it for the first time. I was like, I feel like I'm listening to Alex Jones,
right,
on the radio. Now, actually watching him on the screen, I mean, it literally looks like those memes where you see them making fun of him on Alex Jones. It's like watching that in person. And it's, I mean, JK is pretty much J. Jonah. Like, there's no other person that could fit that role. So I'm glad he's back.
Same here. Before we leave, they are rumoring Kraven the Hunter for the villain, but we didn't get any kind of extra feed into the Sinister Six, which we know they've been like setting the stage for. Do you think it's possible, considering we may not have the Green Goblin or even Doc Ock for that matter, do you think it's entirely possible for how they did on the Spider-Man game, how they kind of replaced Goblin with Mr. Negative, how we could possibly have Vulture, Scorpion, Mysterio, he may not be dead, so I'm gonna go ahead and just count him in because who knows? His death may have been a fucking ruse as well. So that's 3. Shocker,
4. Which, if you paid attention to the first one,
yeah. Then you could have Kraven the Hunter come in and possibly another villain, which I will admit I was totally off with this one. Which Sam Jackson was revealed to be like one of the Skrulls while he's up in space with the ship. I honestly thought it was going to be Chameleon because it just something didn't sit right with that. But I think that it is entirely possible to have. Oh, I'm sorry. I mentioned Scorpion, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you're on 5. So there's still one more.
And then Kraven, basically, and basically saying Kraven and somebody else could come in, and could be Sinister Six. That all depends if Holland wants to do more of these, which he'd be dumb not to, and I think he does want to keep playing this character because he's only got this one movie left after Far From Home. Mm-hmm. That's what I'd like to see happen. Because I think the ultimate test to say that Spider-Man is the actual next Tony Stark is to put him against 6 people that he's got to beat on his own with no fucking help from anybody.
Right.
Do it. That's my whole take on it. That's it.
I mean, hell, even in the comments, like, who do you think is the 6th one? Like,
yeah.
Who out of everybody that we've seen and portrayed on screen, regardless of what version of Spider-Man has been portrayed, who do you think they could fill that role with the 6th one?
Yeah, I mean, and even if it's... and definitely take into account the ones aforementioned as far as like Vulture, Shocker, and Scorpion, because those 3 have actually been introduced, and possibly Mysterio as a 4th. Who do you... Yeah, like Cody said, who do you want to see complete the Sinister Six? Or who would you like to see be the actual main villain in Spider-Man 3? Or the MCU's Spider-Man 3? Mm-hmm. Which, if it doesn't have a home in the title, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? You dropped the ball.
Homeward Bound.
Home Away from Home.
Mm-hmm. Home Alone.
Please, goddammit.
Because he's by himself as the Sinister Six.
Give us... Yeah, oh my God. Can we have Peter Parker be in... Like, no, yeah, Parker is in Avengers Mansion. Like, he inherits Avengers Mansion somehow. And they're all trying to get in there. And everybody else is, like, out, like, doing what they do hero-wise. But he's like, well, I'm just kind of here. And the Sinister Six just show up, and he's like, gotta set up some traps.
Spidey traps everywhere.
Yeah, he's got, like, paint buckets, like, with webs on them. Like, he's webbed some fucking paint buckets to, like, swing down and hit people. And
he's got drones. He's got the tripwire, a whole nine yards.
Spider-Man Home Alone coming to theaters in 2022. Be on the lookout. Please let that happen.
I just want to see him do the pose of Macaulay Culkin with the face.
Have the mask on, the eyes emoting, and then like maybe the mask lifted up to see his mouth going, ah.
Well, you can still see the depression with like the shadow of his mouth open. So it's just like,
Oh, yeah, please make that happen. That would be
Spider-Man Home Alone.
Let's do that. I'm down for that. Cool. All right, let's get the fuck out of here, dude. We've got our next Cult Cinema Showdown episode coming for you guys next week, and that is going to be it's the 30th anniversary of the Weird Al Yankovic film UHF, which that was one of the better spoof films to come out. Like, you had like movies like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker that came out in the 80s, and of course you had like Scary Movie and shit that had come out like the late or the early 2000s, and things like that. But UHF was probably one of the funnier things I have ever seen, and it opened up against the original 89 Batman, so it didn't do great at the box office, but has gained a huge cult following. We'll stick that one up against Stay Tuned with John Ritter, which the plot involves a couch potato, John Ritter, being sold a satellite dish from Satan, which Satan uses to pull people in to the television world to place bets on who's going to live or survive. I mean, it's who's going to live or die. And it's also a thing where John Ritter and his wife, obviously, are being pulled into various television programming from like the 80s, the 70s, the 90s. And it's fucking hilarious. Eugene Levy is in it. And I feel dumb because I can't think of the guy's name. But the guy who played the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off is Satan in this movie.
Is it Ben Stein?
Fuck no. definitely not.
I can't think of the.
If it was Ben Stein, I would laugh my fucking ass off, dude. I'm just
gonna pull you in here and place a bet on you. Wow.
I'm gonna look this up right fast because I don't want to.
But no, I don't remember that character's name.
Who Ben Stein's?
No, the principal. I don't remember the character.
Jeffrey Jones.
Oh, okay.
Could not remember. But yeah, it's great, dude. I think this is gonna be a pretty, like, when we watch it, it's gonna be one of those where we actually may have a hard time picking between the two because they're both actually very funny movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we put a vote out on Twitter a while back, but we're finally going to jump into it. It's just going to give us some time to put this fucking list together. Because when we do flop 10 lists, we like to make sure that these are of caliber.
Of quality.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a flop 10 of the worst movie sequels. Which, if you can't imagine by the trash garbage we watch on this fucking podcast.
How can it get any worse? It does.
Yeah, it definitely does. Trust us. So be on the lookout for that shit. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. It's in the show notes below. You can donate to the podcast monetarily via Patreon, also in the show notes below. Buy some merchandise. Everything's $5 off, also in the show notes below. Yes. Everything that we talk about is down there.
Just go look.
Yeah, just scroll up and click it. Do it. As always, Facebook.com/SuperMediaBros, Twitter.com/SuperMediaBros_, and Instagram.com/SuperMediaBrosPodcast.
Where to find the stupid pictures.
Yeah, look at them. Look at them. Look at them.
Like them, comment, say how pretty they are, dumb they are, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Let's get the fuck out of here, dude. I hear that thunder rolling in, and I kind of want to go take a nap.
Just imagine Aerosmith lightning strikes.
No, please don't. That was The Dark Fate of the Uncaged Elite, episode 83. For this week, I've been Midnight Agent Rob.
I'm Okame.
Shades on.
We're off.